Tuesday morning. This is January 8th, 2019. Happy New Year to everyone. And if we didn't see you, Merry Christmas as well. I hereby call this meeting to order. Welcome everyone here. Clerk, call the roll.
Chairman Bembro.
Present.
Vice Chair Gagos.
Present.
Commissioner Romero.
Present.
Commissioner Blankenhorn.
Present.
Commissioner O'Donnell. Present.
Okay, if everyone would please stand for the next two items. I ask Commissioner O'Donnell to introduce Minister Jose Marquez.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Jose Marquez is from the Wellness Fellowship, and he will give a prayer today.
Good morning, everyone. Let us pray. Father, we come before your presence at this time, Lord. We come before you today as we lift up all of those today who are involved in this meeting, Father. We pray for wisdom today to make wise decisions, Lord. We pray for discernment as they discuss the future of our community, Lord. We pray to give these board commissioners discerning hearts today, bold faith and wise minds to model your character, Father. We pray for guidance, Lord. We pray for protection over each leader here today, each commissioner here today, and those who are involved in the meeting today as they make decisions, Father. Lord, we also pray for each and every one of their families, Lord, as well, for protection over their lives. Lord, at this time we would like to lift up our community, Lord. Taos County, Father, we lift it up to you and we give it to you, Father, as we make decisions and we discuss about the Taos community, Father. We worship you and we praise you today. We thank you for protection. We thank you for guidance. We thank you for wisdom and the strength to be here today. In Jesus' name, amen. I'd like to share this verse of scripture in James 3:17. But the wisdom from above is first pure, then peaceful, gentle, open to reason, full of mercy and good fruits, impartial and sincere. Thank you.
We please remain standing, and Councilman Fernandez will lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Commissioners, the next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda.
Move for approval, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner Romero.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Donnell.
Yes.
Commissioner Blankenhorn.
Yes.
Vice Chair Gagos.
Yes.
Chairman Bembro.
Yes. Under item 6, board appointments, item A is discussion and selection of chairman for the Taos County Board of Commission for the next year. Commissioners.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we appoint Mark Gallegos as the new chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I'll go ahead and second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any other nominations? Clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner Romero.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Donnell.
Yes.
Commissioner Blankenhorn.
Yes.
Vice Chair Gagos.
Slash.
Chairman.
Yes.
Chairman Bembro.
Okay.
Thank you. Congratulations. You want to finish the meeting today, Chair?
No, can't run procedure.
Should have put my thinking cap on today. I was thinking I was going to do something. All right. Next item on the agenda is item B. This is the discussion and selection of the vice chair for the Taos County Board of Commission. Commissioners, do we have any nominations at this time? Mr. Chair, as the chairman, I ask that this commission would consider that for this calendar year, that a alternating vice chair would be considered, that each fellow commissioner would serve duties every 3 months. Would give each of us an opportunity in case something comes up that the chair is not available, or if at that point that the vice chair is not available, we can make changes as we need to. But I feel that personally, the past 2 years I've had the opportunity to be vice chair, and there has been some times where I really couldn't make a meeting and put a lot of pressure under the chairman and staff to prepare an agenda that was a little difficult, I guess, sometimes I felt. And I just really didn't have that committed effort. This year I do have the committed effort with support of the family and the business that we operate, that I'll be able to spend more time as your chair. But I'd like to work with each of you throughout the year as shared vice chair positions.
Mr. Chairman, I like that idea. I think it's a very good idea. It's unique to this commission. We've never done that before, and I think it's a good opportunity to give everybody a chance to represent his vice chair. And with that part of the motion, I'd like to say, Mr. Chairman, that I'd like to make a motion to have Candace as our vice chair, chosen as our vice chair for the next 3 months, if that's what it comes out to, if that's what it breaks down to.
Commissioners, is there any further discussion? We're going to follow through with the next 3 positions throughout the rest of this calendar year.
Well, there's 3 more of us.
Right.
That would work. And are we going to decide the order later, or should we go alphabetical, or
Whichever way.
First name or last name?
Tom, you'd be last. But
I had last name in mind, but I'll go first. I'll go last.
It's a new alphabet. O'Donnell is first.
Right.
It's A. O'Donnell, A, then
So, do we have a motion yet on
Well,
that?
there's a motion and a second with
For Candace to start.
Candace to start, and then the next commissioner could possibly be anyone of you 3 if you wishes to step forward, and then, maybe next year come to this position again, and we'll find out if it worked. If it didn't work, well, then we go back, but it gives each of us an opportunity, each of you an opportunity to be vice chair throughout the year.
Sounds good. I think we all like the idea. Just a matter of how to form this motion and get it done so we can.
So I'll amend my motion, Mr. Chairman, to include your idea on how we will select the vice chair. In addition to that motion, I'd like to include that Commissioner O'Donnell would be the next vice chair elected today to the position. And therefore, every 3 months, is that what it breaks down to? Correct. Council members? That the vice chair come in alphabetical order, meaning it would be Commissioner Blankenhorn, Commissioner Fambro, and then myself.
Sound fair? Commissioners, or do you have other engagements throughout the year that you'd be more dedicated to, that you would want to pass your 3 months to someone else? Or do you adjust?
Mr. Chairman, I wanted to say also that my position with the Association of Counties, I believe ends in June, correct?
May.
Or in May? Yes. Yeah. Okay, so I wouldn't want to take on any further responsibilities. I'm also in my diaconate schedule, so that keeps me quite busy.
Okay, so Tom and Jim, do you want to switch?
No, it doesn't matter.
Okay, so
I abstain.
we'll go through the motion of Commissioner Romero's amended list through Commissioner O'Donnell serving the first 3 months, Commissioner Blankenhorn the following 3 months, Commissioner Romero, or Commissioner Fambro, and then Commissioner Romero serving the last 3 months of the year. Second. Clerk, Ms. Matias, please call roll.
Let's see if I can figure this out. Commissioner Romero,
Yes.
Vice Chair O'Donnell,
Yes.
Commissioner Blankenhorn,
Yes.
Commissioner Fambro,
Abstain.
Chairman Gayos.
Yes.
Congratulations.
We'll just go through this meeting real slow so that everybody remember. We'll get lost probably for the day, but that'll be fun. All right, well, thank you, commissioners, for considering that. I think it'll be interesting to see how that works out for this first time. So we'll go ahead and move on with item C. This is a discussion and selection of a member and alternate for North Central Regional Transit District Board.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Fambro.
I have served on that for 4 years. I've been commissioner. Leandro is my alternate. I wish to continue if the board would consider that.
I'll set a motion to that effect, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made by Commissioner Romero, seconded by Commissioner O'Donnell. Ms. Martinez, please call roll.
Commissioner Romero,
Yes.
Commissioner Blankenhorn,
Yes.
Commissioner Fambro,
Yes.
Vice Chair O'Donnell,
Yes.
Chairman Gagos.
Yes. I know it's going to be a little tough for you,
I know,
Ms.
it is
Martinez,
super
but we'll work through it.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, item D is a discussion and selection of a member and alternate for Intergovernmental Council. Commissioner, any selection?
Mr. Chairman, I am currently Vice Chair of the Intergovernmental Council, so I wish to continue my selection as a member.
Move for approval of Commissioner O'Donnell as the member representing Taos County on the Intergovernmental Council.
Point of order. We must include the alternate for that.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Who is the alternate?
I am now, aren't they? But I cannot do it on this.
Okay, so I'll amend my motion to include Commissioner Blankenhorn as the alternate on the Intergovernmental Council, IGC Board.
Second. Seconded by Commissioner Blankenhorn. Ms. Martinez, would you please call roll?
Commissioner Romero,
Yes.
Commissioner Blankenhorn,
Yes.
Commissioner Fambro,
Yes.
Vice Chair O'Donnell,
Yes.
Chairman Gagos.
Yes. Next is item E. This is a discussion and selection of a member and alternate for the landfill board.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I currently serve as that, and Commissioner O'Donnell serves as my alternate. However, my multi-line meetings, so I can go on to landfill.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. Do the IGC and the landfill board still meet on the same day, same place? With that in mind, Mr. Chairman, I'll go ahead and make a motion to select Commissioner O'Donnell as the member representing Taos County, the landfill board, and Commissioner Blankenhorn as the alternate.
Right here, second.
Oh,
Second discussion.
that's fine. I know the chairman also is a member of the landfill board under Cuesta, so I don't know if it might be easier if
I do send an alternate most of the
Okay.
time, so I'd be recusing myself from representing the commission.
And I think it'd be good to have as many voices there as possible.
Discussion.
Okay, second discussion. Oh, sorry.
I just want to remind the whoever is on this is the landfill board. This has to do with the landfill. It is not a recycling board.
Taken Commissioner Fambro. Any further discussion for the selection of the representative and the alternate?
Just want to make sure no one feels like they're being recycled.
Motion and second has been made. Ms. Martinez, please call roll.
Commissioner Romero,
Yes.
Commissioner Blankenhorn,
Yes.
Commissioner Fambro,
Yes.
Vice Chair O'Donnell,
yes.
Chairman Gagos.
Yes. Next item is item F. This is discussion and selection of a member and alternate for Taos County Economic Development Council Board.
Mr. Chairman, if Commissioner Blankenhorn wishes to continue representing Taos County, I would like to make that motion. I think he's been a good voice representing Taos County on the board of the Economic Development, asked a lot of questions. Definitely has sparked a lot of interest in the finances of TCDC, and hopefully things are moving in that department. So that's my motion.
And alternate.
An alternate, do we have an alternate selected? Alternate currently has been Ms. O'Donnell.
Is it Commissioner O'Donnell?
I know Mr. Cornibus,
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, the alternate was
Okay.
Mr. Cordova.
So I'll amend my motion to include manager.
Motion's been made, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second, any further discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Martinez, would you please call roll?
Commissioner Romero,
Yes.
Commissioner Blakenhart,
Yes.
Commissioner Fambro,
Yes.
Vice Chair O'Donnell,
Yes.
Chairman Gagos.
Yes. Next item is item G. This is a discussion and selection of a member and alternate for North Central New Mexico Economic Development District Board.
Mr. Chairman, I am currently the representative of Taos County on this particular board, and I believe Mr. Cordova is the alternate. Are you the alternate?
I'm not sure myself or Commissioner Blanken, Commissioner Blanken has been attending as an alternate of the states.
I have. Okay, so I'd like to remain in that board, Mr. Chairman.
Can we get a nomination to keep Commissioner Romero and Commissioner Blankenhorn as representatives? So moved. Motion been made, seconded. Ms. Martinez, would you please call roll?
Commissioner Romero,
Yes.
Commissioner Blakenhart,
Yes.
Commissioner Fambro,
Yes.
Vice Chair O'Donnell,
Yes.
Chairman Gagos.
Yes. Next item, item H. This is discussion and selection of a member and alternate for the Regional Coalition Los Alamos National Laboratory Commissioners. I have been serving on the board. There have been a lot of unknowns as to how this board was going to continue to move forward. We do have Councilor Fernandez that's also served. So there's been some change in the direction, and I have fortunately not made some of the many meetings this past few months because of not knowing where the regional coalition was actually going to be leaning towards. If there's anybody that would wish to take on this position and continue to, we as a commission, I guess, would have to also make a decision if we want to still continue to be part of the regional coalition. If we do, we can find somebody that would be able to participate more than I do and also have an alternate. If not, then
Mr. Chairman, I don't know about who for an alternate, maybe if we have some volunteers, but I'd like to see our county manager representing Taos County on the regional coalition of Los Alamos.
those are Friday meetings. Alternate was Vice Chair O'Donnell this last year. So
So I'll set a motion then, amend my motion to include Commissioner O'Donnell as the alternate for the regional coalition of Los Alamos National Laboratory.
manager has a representative. Those are Fridays. They tended to be, have been like once a month, but they've changed to be
Yeah, it's a quarterly schedule.
Quarterly schedule. Motion's been made by Commissioner Romero. Do I hear a second? Second. Any further discussions? Hearing none. Ms. Martinez, will you please call roll?
Commissioner Romero,
Yes.
Commissioner Blakenhart,
Yes.
Commissioner Fambro,
Yes.
Vice Chair O'Donnell,
Yes.
Chairman Gagos.
Yes. Thank you all for participating in the positions that you're carrying, and those groups and boards we will hope to hear of updates that come up. Next item is item 7. This is a citizens' concerns. Citizens wishing to speak shall have a limit of up to 5 minutes. No action will be taken by this commission. We will take notes and follow up with our manager, deputy manager, and they will direct that towards any department head that needs to. And if there's further action needs to be taken, we will put that in an agenda item. We wish any citizens to come up and speak. Yes. I put the timer, Jim, or you want to do the timer? All right. I'm gonna practice what we do.
I'm Erin Sanborn, and I'm going to speak from two different roles. The first one is as a citizen. So I just wanted to say thank you for a couple things first. One is your continued initiative and willingness to collaborate with the town of Taos on behalf of citizens in the region. It's noticeable and it's greatly appreciated. The second piece is also your leadership and initiative on economic development, also for the region in multiple fronts. Also very much appreciated for entrepreneurs in the community. And I'm hearing a lot of really good feedback, so just wanted to say thank you on that. And the third thank you. And I'm sorry, Commissioner O'Donnell, I wasn't around for the climate change conversations, but I've heard some, so I wanted to say thank you to consider climate disruption and drought in our area as public policy principles that will guide future action. I live in an area where there's serious drought and well water issues. So again, as a citizen, I really appreciate you considering those topics as principles for future policy. So I just want to say thank you. Okay, ready? Now I'll put a different hat on. Now I'm here representing Kit Carson Electric Co-op, and I just want to give you a couple updates. At the next IGC meeting, so I know Commissioner O'Donnell and the county manager, Leandro, will be at that meeting. The agenda is about to come out. There will be two topics on that. One will be the EV plan, or the electric vehicle charging station plan for the Enchanted Circle. So I wanted to invite all of you, if by chance you are available, or just make sure you get an update. And at that meeting, we'll be talking about what the plan is throughout the Enchanted Circle, what the partnership may look like, and that Kit Carson Electric Co-op will be submitting for the VW settlement monies to help each of the municipalities pay for charging stations. And we should have an update. The application is not out yet, but it should be, hopefully by then. If not, it'll be out in February. But that's a collaboration that we're going to put time and effort into in which the county would benefit. And the second topic will be public banking. I don't know if you know that Santa Fe had been working for a few years on a public bank and decided that the assets and so on were not enough. And so they've moved to a statewide public banking effort, which is taking off now with the new legislature. The benefit to the county is that there may be access to funding in the future for projects where the money will be funded through the state and monies will then get reinvested in the state. So I think it's an important topic just to learn about. And then the last update I have for you is that I wanted to get this on your calendar soon. We don't have a formal invitation yet. We will. On June 5 through 7, the National Renewable Energy Labs will be having a replication conference, which is the work we've been doing with them for over a year now, in which the co-op has been developing software that doesn't currently exist for co-ops and municipalities across the country. And we will be presenting the software, the dashboard, the licensing agreements, and then you'll also get to see what the other cohorts have been doing around the country in terms of renewable energy. And it's something that our elected officials are invited to. I will get you a formal invitation, but I'm hoping a group of you can come up, see the work that's being done, how the co-op itself, and ultimately get this EV plan in place will be a national model. And you can be proud of that. And you are definitely all invited. So those are my updates.
When is it?
It's June 5 through 7. It'll be in Denver. It's at the Denver Hyatt. And again, it will be a national conference in which we will be highlighted.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Any other citizens in the audience that wish to speak?
Last Saturday, on the county website, to look at today's agenda, but got no further than the homepage. The very top of the homepage is the following notice. Quote, create an account, increase your productivity, customize your experience, and engage in information with care about input. If you choose to do so, then you're afforded this opportunity to create a profile. It says create profile. The only thing that's required is a first and last name, and email account. There's some other information you can describe yourself, so on and so forth. It then goes on to talk about privacy policy. These are captions that are directly from this opportunity to create a profile. Privacy policy, types of information we collect, cookies, browser level information. Under browser level information, it says our web server automatically collects limited information about your computer configuration when you visit our website, including the type of browser you use, the operating system you are running, the resolution of your computer monitor, the website that referred you, and your IP address. Your IP address is a number that is used by computers connected to the internet to identify your computer so that data such as the web pages you want to view can be transmitted to you. We use IP address information for systems administration and troubleshooting purposes. Further on, it says under disclosures, it says we may occasionally release information about our visitors when release is appropriate to comply with law to protect the rights, property, or safety of visitors to our sites, the public, our customers, or our government and its employees, agents, and partners and affiliates. Please keep in mind that our communities are public spaces. So don't post anything that you don't want the world to see. Credit card numbers, product keys, and other confidential information, including anything covered under a non-disclosure agreement, should not be posted to any blogs, discussions, or other public areas. Under terms and conditions general, it says the purpose of our interactive modules is to obtain suggestions, ideas, and feedback to benefit our community. Please avoid personal attacks, slurs, and profanity in your interactions. Impersonating a government employee or anther, it's supposed to be another, it's misspelled, or another user is not allowed. We reserve the right to ban any participant at any time that we feel is not complied with an appropriate code of conduct. Disclaimers. The sites are provided on an as-is basis without any warranties of any kind expressed or implied. The site makes no warranties about the accuracy, reliability, completeness, or timeliness of the sites. Goes on to say, without limitation on the foregoing, there are three of them. The only one I thought was important was number 2. It says, this site makes no representations or guarantees regarding the truthfulness, accuracy, legality, completeness, timeliness, or reliability of any documents posted by users or of any other form of communication engaged in by users. I find this troubling. I realize that you have a new host or a new body that provides you with your website, and I believe it's the same one that the town uses. Now, is this part of this opportunity to create a profile? Is this part of the understanding, part of the contract? It just pops up all the time, because if it is, I find it so mind-boggling, troubling that you would offer a door or an opportunity or allow or sponsor some outside entity to gather this kind of information and then talk about things like we don't guarantee anything about this site. We control these modules. Does anybody know anything about this?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Hall, I believe it's something you can definitely opt out of. It's not a requirement, but I don't have any more details on that. That would something I'd have to run up to our IT.
You don't have, you can just pass by it. What it is at the top of the home page, at the very top, your home page is really blue, really bright blue. At the top, I don't know if you have it on your site now, but at the very top, there's a single line, a single green line with white, if I remember, white lettering. It says, what I just read to you a moment ago, create an account, and then below that is all the county information. And obviously, as you say, I understand, I didn't sign up, but the very fact that it's there is wrong. It's absolutely wrong. Why would the idea that this is a place for whoever these people are, use it on your behalf, is it their behalf? The fact that they would want to collect ideas about suggesting better ways to do better stuff, whatever that may be. Isn't that what I'm here to do now, and what the individual spoke before me to suggest and make recommendations? I hope somebody will look into it. I'd like an answer, and I would like it actually to go away. I don't think that our governments should be sponsoring, given the nature of social media today, this kind of activity. Gracias.
We'll look into that. Any other citizens' concerns? Councilman Hernandez, Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. Happy New Year to all of you. I'd like to start off by welcoming Leandro to the Regional Coalition as Vice Chair of the Coalition. We are obviously in a transition period due to the former director leaving and a new director taking office, but we're really excited about our opportunity to continue expressing citizens' concerns and interests about lab activities. Specifically, we are focused on environmental cleanup of legacy waste and diversifying the lab's mission away from just nuclear pit and nuclear weapons production. So I know we get some criticism from time to time, but the RCLC really is one of the best ways for communities to have a say in the direction of lab operations. So welcome aboard. That said, I'm here for a different reason today, and that is the age-old dilemma of signage, specifically political signs. Seems like every election season, our planning department contacts you about the signs you have encouraging people to vote, and we get the same calls from the Democratic Party as well. And what I'd like to see and suggest is a change in the county sign ordinance, nothing regarding when signs can come up or go down, but specifically we'd like to see the rules relaxed a bit on the size of signs that are allowed for display and also the number of signs per property. Currently, your sign code allows for a maximum of a 6 square foot sign on any person's property. Now, a lot of candidates, including some statewide candidates, make signs that are 4 by 8 or 4 by 4. And in fact, Commissioner Gallegos, you were very graceful in putting up a very large 4 by 8 sign for Michelle Lujan Grisham on your property in Cuesta, and which incidentally was, against the county sign code, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, I try to follow the county when I can, but I'll also use my own village sign codes as well, so I'll try to work with everybody as best I can.
Well, what I'm saying is maybe we adopt the Village of Cuesta sign code so we can all have larger signs. Yeah, lead by your example.
That's how you wanted to chairman, so
Well, in addition to that, one of the current sign code requirements that we have experienced a lot of issue with this election cycle was the fact that a person could not express support for more than one candidate. That to me strikes at the heart of the intent of political campaigning and signage, which is to be able to support the candidates that you want and to be able to express that support on your own property. And if you're limited to one sign total, what do you do if you want to express support for Senator Udall and Senator Heinrich and Congressman Benry Lujan, but you can only choose amongst one of the three? That to me, is a hindrance on someone's First Amendment right to be able to express their political beliefs. And we've already met with Mr. Blankenhorn about this, and at his suggestion, we were invited to discuss this with the entire commission. So I ask as a citizen and as a Taos County Democratic Party chairperson that you amend the sign code ordinance so that we can allow larger size signs like the Village of Cuesta does, and also that the existing limit of one sign per property be striked from the law so that people are free to express the support for the candidates that they want. And on the town end, I'm looking at this too, because I don't think it's right that we contact you when you have your voting flag signs up and all you're trying to do is encourage people to vote. It's not like you have one of those wacky wavy arm guy signs trying to sell tires, this is a new year. Let's work together and let's make it easier for people to express political support for the candidate that they choose and for all of us to get out the vote. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Thank you.
You guys are good. You guys are like all trying to keep 5 minutes perfect on that. Commissioner Blankenhorn.
Thank you, Chairman. The rule that you can only support one candidate on your lawn does seem
overly restrictive and not good for First Amendment rights. So I would support that. I listened to arguments on the sizes as they come up, but I would like for us to address that.
Commissioner Fambro?
It's the state-wide candidates that bring those big signs
Right.
because they're able to do it anywhere else. So,
Very good. Well, I think that any other discussion commissioners will want to have, that we can start sitting down with that ordinance and dig into it, see if we can make some changes before the next election cycle.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
from a legal perspective, it's probably a good idea to relook at the sign ordinance. There has been some new activity in the Supreme Court of the United States and other courts recently, and it's good to see if we conform to constitutional requirements at this point, and so I would recommend it as well.
Very good.
what he's saying is he'll draft those.
That's right. That's good. Next meeting.
And you'll we'll vote on it at 10:30.
Well, I can have it by the end of the meeting, yes.
Mr. Fernandez, thank you for your input there. Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations on being elected chair.
Yeah, I just don't watch the videos. I'm gonna probably mumble a couple times and get a little crazy, but I'll learn. I got a quick learning curve over here. I got to watch Commissioner Blankenhorn and Commissioner Pebble for 2 years, so I got big shoes to fill. So I just gotta remind myself to behave.
On that note, Commissioner Cody, Mark, Cody.
Yeah. Me and Cody know each other very well from other positions.
You're getting on that.
Yes, I'm sure. Mr. Phillips, come on in. The water's still warm. So another guy. So you're fine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning and Happy New Year to everyone. I want to congratulate the Commission on its original intention with the Code of Ethics. However, all means all. And I'm disappointed that the Commission has allowed the manager to use anti-donation as a weapon of exclusion. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizens speak? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close citizens' concerns and move on to item 8. This is consent agenda. Commissioners, before you, these have been reviewed for the purpose of voting on all items with one vote. The items listed are for the Commission's consideration decision. Commissioners, I will go ahead and read through items A through I, and we can pull what you need to, or for discussion we can pull moving forward. So item A is approval of the DFA resolution number 16, calendar year 2018-19. A resolution requesting to adjust the 2019 fiscal year budget to account for grant agreement received by New Mexico Department of Transportation. The STEP program is for conducting law enforcement patrols throughout Taos County and to transfer temporary cash from the general fund. Item B is approval of DFA resolution number 17, fiscal year 18-19, a resolution requesting to transfer expenditures as identified during a formal audit review of the Fire Protection Fund. Item C is approval of a budget adjustment for the San Francisco Volunteer Fire Department 209-1701. Item D is approval of a budget adjustment for the Senior Companion Program Fund 2219-0118. Item E is a discussion, consideration, decision regarding the purchase of a dump body and installation of central hydraulics for the plow and spreader for a new 2018 Kenworth T880 for the Public Works Department. We have Mr. Pacheco here. Item F is discussion, consideration, decision regarding the purchase of the 2018 Kenworth T880 for the Public Works. Item G is discussion, consideration, decision regarding the approval of the resolution 2019-1, a resolution establishing legal holidays, operating hours, and closing for Taos County offices for the calendar year 2019. Item H is discussion and consideration and decision regarding the approval of Resolution 2019-7, a resolution approving the 2019 legislative priorities for the Taos County. Item I is discussion and consideration decision regarding the approval of a cooperative weed management area memorandum of understanding. And I think that is it, yeah. I gotta get glasses, so I'll be carrying forward up next meeting.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner.
I would like to set a motion to approve all of the items from the consent agenda except items B, F, G, and H.
Second. Motion's been made, a second, any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Martinez, please call roll.
Commissioner Romero.
Yes.
Commissioner Blankenhorn.
Yes.
Commissioner Fambro.
Yes.
Vice Chair O'Donnell.
Yes.
Chairman Geigels.
Yes. Commissioners, item B, Commissioner Romero, this is the approval of the DFA Resolution number 17, 2018 fiscal year, requesting transfer of expenditures as identified during the formal audit review of the Fire Protection Fund. For this consent agenda items, I will pass all information, questions to our manager to answer, so I can get them to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With item B, I'd like to have Commissioner O'Donnell ask the questions.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I've reviewed the documents and see that with the audit, we have to transfer back into the various fire districts, if I'm correct, 142,000. So if that could be explained, how that happened, and then I had some questions about the specific line items that I see that our finance department did.
Okay, Commissioner O'Donnell, go ahead and let Mr. Carlo explain.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner O'Donnell, essentially the money that we receive from the State Fire Marshal for the 209 accounts, that must be pre-approved by the State Fire Marshal prior to us expending those funds. The biggest refunds here, or the movements back, is in regards to the Amalia Community Center. Unfortunately, we did not gain formal approval to be able to utilize those funds for the completion of the Amalia Community Center. That's directly related to the fire station. There was also concern about a couple purchases made within the dispatch department that was paid out of the fire funds. I think it was our power phone. We also had some issues with training for volunteer fire department members that was not covered by the 209 funds. It's definitely an oversight on our part. We will definitely make sure that we do approve all expenditures through the fire marshal. There was not a clear-cut process of what amounts needed to be approved, and it was under the finance department's assumption that we did have approval when we went and moved forward with this. So the audit is looking back about 2 or 3 years. So these are expenditures from a while back, and it is unfortunate that we will essentially be refunding our own funds. So we're now having to take money from either the 222 or general fund to give it back to ourselves to spend in a different rate in the 209. So we're not really losing money, but we are having to move money to cover the expenses with different revenue sources.
So the question on Anissa Construction, it was 100,000 that we had to revert back, but there was also an $18,000 amount that was not included. And so does that mean that was spent appropriately? If you look at the checks and you go down to Anissa Construction, the very first check 01 in March of 2017, there was 18,000 that was not flagged.
So Commissioner O'Donnell, those 18,000 came out of our 399 and capital fund. Those were not earmarked to the line item of the 209, which was not in that was already approved from a different funding source.
So was the issue because Amalia is a community center at a fire? Is that one of the problem?
No, I'll be honest, I was a little frustrated by this because we did essentially use it for the right reasons. We just didn't ask prior permission according to their standards. So it is for specific use of the fire department. They have a training room up there, they have storage, and they do utilize the whole end of the building specifically for the fire department. And so, yeah, it wasn't necessarily misused. It was that we did not ask permission the right way in the eyes of the State Department.
And if would they have done this audit? I mean,
I believe they would have. They do the audit, they always do the audit. They come back. This year they did seem to be a little bit stricter with what they were reviewing, and we just did not have the ability to document in their standard what we had felt we had approval for. There's been a lot of turnover at the fire marshal. We also have turnover at the fire chief here. I wish Mr. Cordova was here today. Unfortunately, Chief Cordova was up all night fighting a structure fire. There was two structure fires last night, so he's not here to get into the very specifics, but like I said, he has briefed me on this. We did not misuse the money. The money was used, I feel, appropriately for fire, for EMS, and for the dispatch center. It was used to improve things in Amalia, to improve things at the dispatch center. We unfortunately just did not have the proper prior approval.
Yes, Commissioner.
This is not unique to us, Mr. O'Donnell. This is part of the reason there's some meetings that we've attended, and which is calling for the restructuring and movement of the fire marshal's office from the PRC. That building will be going, and it is a New Mexico County's property. But this is state law. It's just a jab back.
so I have another question. Who is Dewey Shields?
He actually is a volunteer firefighter as well as EMS employees.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. With that, I'll make a motion to approve item B.
Item B.
8B.
Second by Commissioner Fambro. Commissioner Martinez, please call roll.
Commissioner Romero?
Yes.
Commissioner Blankenhorn?
Yes.
Commissioner Fambro?
Yes.
Vice Chair O'Donnell?
Yes.
Chairman Gagos?
Yes. Next item is item F. That is a discussion, consideration, decision regarding the purchase of a 2018 Camel T88 for the Public Works. We do have Mr. Pacheco here if we have any questions. Mr. Commissioner Romero.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just kind of wanted a little bit more information. I see it on the agenda, but I think it's also good for the public to know what we're doing on this particular purchase.
Well, Mr. Chairman, before Mr. Pacheco is probably will come up, this is something we kind of discussed at the last meeting. We actually moved the money. This vehicle was needed at the Union District 2. We waited until mid-year to make sure that we have the ability to make this purchase, and it just continues to improve our fleet and replace old, aged, and antiquated equipment.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner.
is this the vehicle that you informed us of about
Yes.
5 or 6 weeks ago?
Yes.
Yeah, we did talk about it also 2 weeks ago.
So when, Mr. Chairman, when will it be in use? What is it like?
I've been in contact with the dealer. The truck is in Albuquerque right now. We're just waiting on the monies to actually do the hydraulic system for the power spreader system.
So within 2 to 4 weeks, we'll have it on site. It's putting on the salt spreader is going to be the delay. And that should have held this truck probably about a month for us. It's been sitting there waiting for us.
Is that satisfied?
Yes, sir. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'll set a motion to approve item F for the consent agenda for today.
Motion been made. Do I hear a second? I'll second that. Ms. Martinez, please call roll.
Commissioner Romero?
Yes.
Commissioner Blankenhorn?
Yes.
Commissioner Fambro?
Yes.
Vice Chair O'Donnell?
Yes.
Chairman Gagos?
Yes. Next item is item G. This is discussion and consideration decision regarding the approval resolution 2019-1, establishing legal holidays, operating hours, and closings for Taos County officers for the calendar year 2019. Mr. Cordova.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, we know we did get one of our detention staff about to speak to the Commission a couple meetings back in regards to the non-holiday closure issues that we have in our calendar. The calendar that is before us still has one in there, so I'm glad you did bring it up. We did meet with the 2 unions that we have to try and get through the issues of non-holiday closure. The biggest problem with non-holiday closure, quite honestly, is the CBA does not capture the proper pay for those that are shift employees. So on a non-holiday closure, the CBA does not even allow anything for shift employees to be paid. Administrative employees get 8 hours of leave essentially because we close the calendar down. And last year's calendar had 3 of these non-holiday closures. It had Spring Day, Christmas Eve, and New Year's Day. What we did right before the holiday was fix the issue with Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve by providing 8 hours of administrative time to the shift employees that were required to work Christmas Day or New Year's Eve. The problem does not exist on any of the other holidays because they are considered holidays, which is very clearly spelled out in the CBA. So through negotiations with the union, the real winner here are constituents that we serve every day. Essentially, we will be removing all non-holiday closures from the calendar. We will no longer be closed on Spring Day or on New Year's Day. We will be open to our constituents. New Year's Eve, I apologize. So Spring Day will be an open day. New Year's Eve will be open. Christmas Eve we have made a holiday. So it does say in here non-holiday closure. We will need to remove that and make it a very clear holiday. What we did as a compromise is create 8 hours of administrative leave to be used any time throughout the year based on department heads or elected officials' authorization to cover the lack of time that they were going to get. So all in all, yes, administrative employees lost out on about 8 hours. Everyone else now feels fairly that we're getting a fair shake for the shift employees. And like I said, to me, the biggest advantage is that we're now serving our constituents 2 more days out of the year where we will be open and able to serve them. So that's the biggest changes to the holidays for the union. I stand for any questions.
And those 8 hours will include Spring Day, otherwise known as Good Friday.
If that's the way you choose to be able to take it, we will be open. We will not be open on Spring Day, which is otherwise called Good Friday. We will be open to serve our constituents if staffing allows and department heads are able to cover the shift and there's a request to use those 8 hours for that day, they may be able to use them for that day. We've also had a request to honor some of the Pueblo holidays. This allows for that as well. If we want to use 4 hours on Taos Pueblo holiday and 4 hours for People East Pueblo holiday, you now can use it as that as well.
Well, what if everyone chooses to be off on Spring Day?
That would not be possible. As I said, it would be up to the department head and elected officials responsible for staffing that office for that day. So not everyone would have that opportunity, quite honestly. It would require a staggering of our shifts.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to see Spring Day brought back. I think we need it. Good Friday is a religious observance. If this was not anything negotiated with the union, then I would ask we bring Spring Day back.
It was negotiated with the union, both unions. The 1193 and the new Sheriff's Office Union or 291. They both signed off on this. They felt that was the fairest way for the shift employees to be able to get the same that the administrative employees were getting.
Commissioner Blankenhorn, our board goes into these negotiations. I don't want to try to upset what is already been accomplished. I think it's a fair compromise.
But if we were to vote to bring Spring Day back, what are the implications?
Well, that would push this approval of the overall resolution back to another meeting because we would have to go back to both unions. And quite honestly, the biggest implication would be nobody would get off for Martin Luther King Jr. Day because we won't have another meeting until the day after that. So they would be basically eliminating that holiday from this year's calendar if we don't come to the agreement today. If the will of the board is to have us go back to the union and negotiate Spring Day, we will still have a problem with non-holiday closure and figuring out how to fairly pay those shift employees that will be working either way. It's unfortunate, it does come down to, if the answer really was, if they couldn't be compensated for the work they were doing, we should all probably just come to work and serve the constituents at their paychecks.
Okay, but for next year, is this something you could bring up again with the union and we perhaps could bring it back.
Absolutely, we could bring it back to the union next year. We'll still have the same problem with having to figure out how to compensate for that non-market closure, but we can always bring it up again if that's the will of the union as well.
Thank you.
Further discussion, does that satisfy the answer that we give?
Motion to approve?
With, Mr. Chairman,
Sure, Commissioner Member.
Commissioner Blankenhorn, would you consider amending your motion to say approve resolution 2019-01, eliminating the, in parentheses, on Christmas Eve, non-holiday closure?
Yes, of course, thank you. Thank you for that reminder.
And I'll second.
Second has been made by Commissioner Fambro. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Martinez, would you please call roll?
Commissioner Romero,
I'm gonna have to vote no on this one.
Commissioner Blankenhorn,
Yes.
Commissioner Fambro,
Yes.
Vice Chair O'Donnell,
No.
Chairman Gagos.
Yes. Next item is item H. This is the discussion consideration regarding the approval of resolution 2019-7, approving the 2019 legislative priorities for Taos County. Mr. Porter.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, this is essentially what I presented to you in the last meeting with our priorities. There's a little bit more detail in each priority and it's in resolution form so that we will all be on the same page as we enter into the legislative conference. Staff, any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, I think it's great we're doing a resolution, and it's we're requesting $6.9 million from the capital outlay fund, so let's hope we get a portion of that.
Okay, this was brought by Commissioner Romero. Do you have any?
Just wanted to show my appreciation for the fact that both the historic courthouse and the veteran cemetery are placed where they're at. I certainly hope we get funded in all of it, but definitely like to see the historic courthouse and the cemetery funded so that we can progress with those, and I appreciate the commission and the management for allowing this to happen.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Commissioner Fambro.
Well stated, Commissioner. Thank you.
Commissioners, as well, during this whole session, you know that there are things that sometimes change and priorities do take a turn, so it is important to have this short list / long list of what we'd like to get, but I think it's a great opportunity to move forward with this. So hearing no other discussions, no concerns, we're going to move into the motion to approve item H, resolution 2017.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner.
motion to approve resolution 2019-7, resolution approving our legislative priorities for 2019.
Motion's been made by Chris. Second. Second, Ms. Martinez, would you please call roll?
Commissioner Romero,
Yes.
Commissioner Blankenhorn,
Yes.
Commissioner Fambro,
Yes.
Vice Chair O'Donnell,
Yes.
Chairman Gagos.
Yes. Commissioners, before we go into presentation, could I ask that we take a 5 to 7 minute break? Is that our normal? If we convene?
I have to ask Vice Chair O'Donnell, because she sets the time.
Right.
I make a motion, we have a 7-minute break.
Second. Okay. Ms. Martinez, would you please call roll?
Commissioner Romero,
Yes.
Commissioner Blankenhorn,
Yes.
Commissioner Fambro,
No.
Vice Chair O'Donnell,
Yes.
Chairman Gagos.
Yes. Thank you, guys. All right, Commissioners, next item on the agenda is presentation.
We
You
gotta
have to come back in on. Thank you, Anna, for really taking care of that. I want to run the meeting without being out of order. Entertain a motion, it is 10:12. Come back in session. So moved.
I'll second.
Motion and second has been made. Ms. Martinez, would you please call roll?
Commissioner Romero,
Yes.
Commissioner Blankenhorn,
Yes.
Commissioner Fambro,
Yes.
Vice Chair O'Donnell,
Yes.
Chairman Gagos.
Yes. All right, next item is item 9. This is a presentation discussing regarding the following, and this is for information purposes only, presented Pre-grant submissions for New Mexico Federal Lands Access Program, Mr. Brent Jaramillo, our Deputy Manager, and Joe Sanchez, our WH Pacific, will be doing the presentation. Deputy Manager Jaramillo, we know your team is not in the playoffs this year.
Or will be next year.
That's so great. Didn't I see that Chicago Eagles game? That's so great.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the commission. Myself and Mr. Sanchez are here to present the 3 grant submissions that we're submitting for the Federal Land Access Program. As you may recall, we came a couple of months before the board to tell you we were going to work on this, and we're here today to tell you which projects we are going to submit. The grant deadline is next week, April 15th. So Joe and Lori have been working on it. Joe's been doing a lot of lifting. Lori's been reviewing. Lori might just walk in. She has a family emergency. That's where she's at now. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Sanchez.
Commissioners, it's a pleasure to be here. Brent, thank you for inviting me to present this. So what it is the Federal Lands Access Program is a grant program that really ties to projects that abut federal lands. There are 3 projects, like Brent indicated, that Taos County can develop grant applications for, so we'll just go ahead and go to those. So to kind of give you all an overview, there's a New Mexico Programming Decision Committee. Well, I'll go back. The notice of funding availability was posted on September 18th. Taos County, your administrators here, your county manager, deputy county manager, were well aware of the issuance of that NOFA. There were New Mexico flat targets were announced in that, which are program amounts, and they're advertised between $30 and $35 million for the program. There's an annual allocation of slightly over $8 million, and it spreads through the fiscal years of 2021 and 2024. So the call for projects went out again on September 18th, and as Brent indicated, they are due January 15th. There is a local minimum match. The preference is hard cash of 14.56, and there are other options, but they have to be other federal funds, non-title 23 to 49. And there was an applicant webinars for training that was scheduled, and which the county attended on October 16th and October 25th. In terms of the grant committee, it's the New Mexico Programming Decisions Committee, and the members are Mr. Chris Longley of the Federal Lands. The NMDOT, because of the recent administrative change, will appoint someone else to attend this Programming Decision Committee, so that person is undetermined at the moment. And then, of course, Mr. Steve Kopelman.
And also, I would say next week we're at the legislative conference. Any of you that are attending, let's take that opportunity to advocate for our project to Mr. Kopelman. We'll be seeing him next week, so let's advocate for our project.
What occurs is that there is a PDC shortlist, and a notification is sent to applicants on March 29th. Then they do some internal scoping, and then there's a final PDC final program notification in September. So what's the purpose of the program? The goal of Federal Lands Access Program is to improve transportation facilities that provide access to, are adjacent to, or are located within federal lands. Who's eligible to apply? Our state, county, tribal, or city government agencies that own or maintain a transportation facility. The keywords here are own or maintain. What types of projects will be considered? The Federal Lands Access Program supplements state and local resources for public roads, transit, and other transportation facilities, again, that access federal lands. They also like to see that there is an association with economic generators. So the 3 projects that are proposed in the flat grants actually are tied to the Rio Grande del Norte National Monument, which is a large economic generator in Taos, and we have some economic numbers to back that up. So here's the evaluation criteria for the flat grants. They're basically proximity and significance, access to high-use recreation or other federal economic generators. It improves public access, has to have safety improvement. You need to be able to evaluate and show preservation, natural resources protection, project cost and scope risk, and then some overmatch or leveraging, which is indicated. And one of the interesting ones is should be consistent with the New Mexico PDC program vision. In the past, the New Mexico Department of Transportation has indicated that they focus on sustainable transportation and projects that can be assist in the economic benefits for the local communities. So these projects align well with what was discussed in the past, and I'm sure the current department is going to continue with those issues. So there is a bridge replacement and a bridge repair. BR 37 is a replacement and BR 5243 is a repair. 3807 is the little bridge just east of John Dunn. Bridge number 5243 is the John Dunn Bridge. CB 110, the Veterans Access Roadway and Trailhead. You guys all know where that's at? That's at the golf course, and it goes down to that trailhead there, and it goes down into the gorge. And B007 is a historic trail feasibility study. I didn't know this about the other side of the John Dunn Bridge, the west side. Do you guys know where that switchback goes back up to the Monposo area? That's been in use for well over 100 years. Very interesting.
And regarding the B007 historic trail, this is one of the ones that BLM wanted us to put in for. So we did meet with BLM. There was probably about 8 of us from the county and probably about another 8 from BLM. So we weren't planning on the B007, but that's something that they wanted us to put in for. So that's the other reason that we're submitting for it. And we do have letters of support from John Bailey for these 3 projects.
So the bridge replacement and repair at 3807 is the replacement, and 5243 is the repair. So you guys can see the picture to the top left. That's the little bridge 3807 just east of John Dunn. So some of the interesting things, I won't call them interesting, I'll just call them that there's a scour underneath the abutments. There's an old stone abutment that's really not functioning well. The safety elements right here are in need of replacement. The bridge really just needs to be replaced. So when you look at it, you look to the one to the right, on the top right. If you look at the upper left-hand corner in that picture, you're going to be able to see there's a hole, there's a dark spot right there at the edge of the water in the rock. There's a scour point in there, and you can actually extend a pole in there probably 10 feet. Okay, so that's right under the abutment. And you can also see that this isn't your common type of safety appurtenance that you would see in terms of bridge barrier railing. It needs to be replaced. When you look at the lower left-hand picture, there's a picture of the old stone abutments underneath the wooden beam stringers. Okay, so again, those are not functioning well. The bridge sufficiency rate for this bridge is 13.3. And that's from the NMDOT Bridge Inspection Report in 2010. The condition hasn't changed over the years, but I suspect that's more due to the load rating restriction that was placed on it. The load rating is no more than 8 tons. So what that really means is it's structurally deficient and it needs to be replaced. The bridge on the lower right, again, that's John Dunn, and it's a historic bridge. So the repair elements need to align with historic bridge elements. The sign there just kind of points out the importance of the recreational aspects and the economic generation that's associated with this crossing point into the National Monument, the Rio Grande del Norte National Monument, as well as the other access points around it. Here is CB 110, the Veterans Access Roadway and Trailhead. The black arrow to the left of the picture there is where the trailhead is at. That trailhead actually services 30,000 folks a year. And associated with that is there are over 100 homes in this area. There's also the college, the golf course, and there's another facility further up the road, the armory. The armory. Additionally, it's my understanding that the county is currently planning a veterans resting place in this area somewhere. So that's going to create additional ADTs.
Sorry, it's there, you can see it.
The red line is actually the length of improvement. So the total CB 110 roadway is approximately 4 miles. This particular section is 2. Okay.
And the other reason it was important for us to submit for FLAP is when we met with the Department of Veterans Services in November, they also want this road paved before the Veterans Cemetery opens. So we can kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone if we get the FLAP grant.
Here's the historic trail feasibility study. So the Google three-dimensional image is pretty telling. When you look at it, you can see John Dunn at the bottom. You can see the end of the project there at the bottom of the bridge. You go up the switchback. There's an access to, I think it's Black Rock Hot Springs, but also Mambry Hot Springs is down that trail. There are 2 boat launches on either side of the John Dunn Bridge there. So those are used for tourist applications. And then the switchback trail itself it's a maintenance issue. You guys know that the maintenance, Ramon and his crew are out there pretty frequently during severe weather events or general weather events. There's a lot of rock movement and slope debris that ends up on the roadway. So there's a lot of safety issues associated with that. The grade's also very steep in that area. You can see in there that there are concentrated drainage paths that occur. So those issues are also causing some additional impact to that roadway that somehow need to be studied and analyzed. Along with that, the BLM has some specific criteria when you start looking at preservation of a historic trail. So viewshed is also very important, along with the impacts to the local wildlife, and then supporting the economic development needs of that area. The parking lot that you see there, about the middle of the picture to the left, that's really an unofficial parking lot. I'm not aware, I believe Brent, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's a parking area there. I think it's just used because it's a wide spot in the switchback.
That's correct, Jeff.
So there's a lot of safety issues associated with this as well as historic preservation because it is a historic trail. I kind of want to, I was talking to Mike Malloy yesterday over lunch, right? So Mike always has something interesting to tell me, and he says it's like the lottery, right? For anything you do, if you don't put in or buy a ticket, you can't win. So I kind of want to point out that the Taos County manager, deputy manager, and your grants administrator set up early coordination meetings over at BLM to buy that ticket, to get that support from the BLM. So we have those support letters from the BLM in writing, signed off. Okay.
For the closure.
Great. Commissioner Fambro. In addition, myself and Commissioner Romero met twice in Washington with our delegation, and they've had request letters both times that we met with them and have pledged support to the county on this endeavor once the funding came available. So they're well aware, and first time they got a request letter was 3 years ago, and most recently 2 years ago. And I met with Representative Lujan since then on this, and he's well aware of the 2 bridges are our priorities.
It would be great if you could get those letters as soon as possible so we can include them in the package.
Very good.
Commissioner, thank you, Mark. Mr. Chairman, do we have to pick one here?
No,
We can do all three.
we can do all three, like Pedro said, and actually me and Leandro kind of talked about this coincidentally, that it is kind of like a lottery ticket. So if there's 8 million for the John Dunn Bridges, the total project cost is $1,464,282. For the Veterans Cemetery roadway, it's $1,005,911. And for the historic trail study, that's $175,137. So it is, like Joe said, it is trying to buy a lottery ticket, and then hopefully we get funding for these projects. Under the resolutions, portion of the agenda, you're gonna have 3 resolutions for matching monies of the 14.56. So you'll see that in a little bit, what those matching monies are for each of these roads. And you have these cash commitment that we take from the reserves if we are awarded funding for all 3 or at least one of them.
I think we have a really good shot at some of this, and obviously we have to replace those bridges. I mean, we don't have any choice on that. So hopefully we get help from the feds to do that and leave our own budget of that requirement, but they're all really great projects. Thank you so much all for your work and preparation on this. I think the first time we met Bailey was like 3 years ago, right? And he was encouraging then, but of course, the federal government didn't have it available until now, so thank you guys for being on top of it.
I do want to mention also some detail from the grant applications. There was an economic study that was done prior to the grant, or the national monument, becoming a national monument. So the initial jobs impact to Taos County, based on that, was 276 jobs. The projected jobs were at 478, I believe, once the monument was fully in place. The economic numbers presented through the New Mexico Department of Labor show an annual growth of around 8% in revenue based on tourism in Taos County during this period. So it's really a large impact, and it generates a lot of revenue for Taos County. And
Well, we should get this, the connection with Del Norte is key, and so I'm optimistic.
So much. Yes.
This is excellent that we are able to apply, and our match is $402,000, but we would see the benefit of what you said, roughly $3.4 million from the feds. Now, who's on the selection committee? I know you said that, can I just look again and see?
Let me get that page. Steve Kopelman, here it is. And there has to be a determination from DOT. I think when we first looked at it was Secretary of Church then, so I think it's at the Secretary level unless he designates somebody for it. Probably speaking to Representative Gonzalez would also be important on this election. And of course, we know Mr. Kopelman. I believe Mr. Longley would listen to Mr. Bailey on this and would listen to his own folks. So the local Taos BLM had bought off into this.
So three on the selection committee, is that what I'm seeing then?
Yes.
Okay.
The cabinet secretary of the NMDOT, as you all are aware, is Mr. Michael Sandler.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on this presentation, Commissioners? Are we allowed to make contact with, say, for example, Mr. Coleman and bring him to Taos?
I didn't see anything.
Show him our roads, our
I didn't see anything in the notice of funds availability that said that we couldn't do it, because it actually points out these 3 in the paperwork.
Many of us do have contact with them on a regular basis.
I do believe, Commissioner, that it is very important. One key thing is this is kind of the middle part of our piece of the national monument that's lacking that economic boost. We do have further south, we have further north, so hitting the middle is going to be a perfect way of getting us to take advantage of the whole portion of our national monument. So I do support the idea that we would be catching people in the hallways in the next week or two or next month, chase them down and let them know what we're doing. We want to kind of carry our own weight as far as what we're doing in the monument. So,
Refine the one-page talking point sheet. I was going to try to work on that yesterday for today, but we stayed pretty busy. But between now and next week, we could probably come up with a one-page talking point sheet.
Mr. Chairman, so again, this is excellent. I'm so proud of the Taos County. Where does Mr. Chris Longley, where's his office?
I believe it's out of Albuquerque.
He's in the state then?
Right, I think he's out of Albuquerque office based on the paperwork that I saw.
Mr. Longley may be in Lakewood. Central Federal Land's central office is in Lakewood, Colorado.
anything else in the presentation? No? Commissioners, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you guys for your presentation. We'll look forward to continuing to see how far we can move this project. Next item is item 10, resolutions and ordinances. Commissioners, before you, we will start with item A, discussion, consideration, decision regarding approval of resolution 219-2, appointing members to the Taos County Planning Commission for the calendar year. Mr. Edward McGill.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Cornwell, Mr. Octo. Thank you for the opportunity to come before you this morning to present to you Resolution 2019-2. This is a resolution appointing members to the Taos County Planning Commission for calendar year 2019. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, as you are aware, through the Taos County Land Use Regulations Ordinance 2018-2, Planning Commission members and Board of Adjustment members serve at your pleasure for a term of 1 year. And so by approving the resolution appointing members to the calendar year 2019, you have all represented an individual for your respective districts. In November 8th of 2018, the Taos County Planning Department posted a legal advertising with Taos News requesting an open invitation to individuals who may express an interest in serving on either the Planning Commission or the Board of Adjustment, and we requested a letter of interest. The only letters of interest that we received were from sitting members of the Planning Commission, which is pretty amazing considering that most of them have served for many years. And it's unfortunate though that we don't get much more participation from anybody else in the public. Having said that, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, the recommendation for appointment to the Planning Commission and approval of Resolution 2019-2 is as follows. For District 1, we have Eugene Sanchez. For District 2, William R. McDonald. For District 3, Bill Thomas. For District 4, John Durham. And for District 5, David Cruz. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I stand for any questions that you may have.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution 2019-2, appointing the members to the Taos County Planning Commission, and would also further like to, at some point, recognize Ms. Mary Mascareñas for her over 20 years of service to this planning commission.
And I'll second that motion on all counts, and just further say I think they do a really good job for us and really appreciate their years of service.
Motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Martinez, would you please call roll?
Commissioner Romero?
Yes.
Commissioner Blankenhorn?
Yes.
Commissioner Fambro?
Yes.
Vice Chair O'Donnell?
Yes.
Chairman Gagos?
Yes. Next item is item B. This is discussion, consideration, decision regarding the approval of the resolution 219-3, appointing members to Taos County Board of Adjustment for the calendar year. Mr. McGill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Once again, this is an appointment to the Board of Adjustment for calendar year 2019. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, the one big change that you probably noticed in this resolution is that we moved our membership from 5 to 3. We were having difficulty in fielding a couple of members onto the Board of Adjustment. And based on the meeting schedule of the Board of Adjustment, which varies possibly anywhere from 2 to 5 meetings per year, we felt that when we amended the land use regulation that 3 items or 3 representatives onto the Board of Adjustment would be adequate. Therefore, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, we respectfully request that you consider approving Resolution 2019-3 with the appointment of the Board of Adjustment members as follows. For District 1, Mr. Alex Abrita. For District 4, Mr. Mark Barovitz. For District 5, Mr. Vicente Fernandez. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, any questions?
Move for approval, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion and a second, Ms. Martinez, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Romero.
Yes.
Commissioner Blankenhorn.
Yes.
Commissioner Fambro.
Yes.
Vice Chair O'Donnell.
Yes.
Chairman Reyes.
Who's that? Did you say Chairman Pettis? Yes.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, if I may, Commissioner Fambro, I just would like to advise you, let you know that it is Planning Department's desire to come back before the Board of County Commissioners at a later date, possibly the second meeting in November, or the first meeting in February, to honor Mrs. Mascarenhas.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very well. Thank you, Mr. Hill. Next item is item C. This is a discussion, consideration, decision regarding the approval of Resolution 219-4, approving the grant match requirement for the New Mexico Federal Lands Access Program, House County Road E007, Historic Trail Preservation Feasibility Study. Ms. Montoya is not here, so if we have any questions, Mr. Adamio would be willing to answer those.
Like I mentioned, these next 3 resolutions are for the grants that we just talked about. So I stand for any question on the resolutions.
Move for approval on item C, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Motion been made and second. Do I, Ms. Martinez, please call roll.
Commissioner Romero.
Yes.
Commissioner Blankenhorn.
Yes.
Commissioner Fambro.
Yes.
Vice Chair O'Donnell.
Yes.
Chairman Reyes.
Yes. Next item is item D. This is a discussion, consideration, decision regarding the approval of Resolution 219-5, approving a grant match requirement for the New Mexico Federal Lands Access Program, House County Road CV 110, Veterans Access Roadway and Trailhead Project.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner.
Motion to approve Resolution 2019-5, grant match requirement for the plat program for County Road B110.
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion and a second been made. Ms. Martinez, would you please call roll?
Commissioner Romero.
Yes.
Commissioner Blankenhorn.
Yes.
Commissioner Fambro.
Yes.
Vice Chair O'Donnell.
Yes.
Thank you.
Chairman Reyes.
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Martinez, for including that vote. Item E is a decision, consideration decision regarding the approval of Resolution 219-6, appointing the grant match requirement for the Mexico Federal Lands Access Program, John Glenn Bridge Repair, 5243, and bridge replacement 3807.
Move for approval, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Motion and second been made. Any further discussion? Ms. Martinez, please call roll.
Commissioner Romero.
Yes.
Commissioner Blankenhorn.
Yes.
Commissioner Fambro.
Yes.
Vice Chair O'Donnell.
Yes.
Chairman Reyes.
Yes, Mr. Cordova.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner, I just want to thank you for supporting these and just once again reminding the Commission the importance of having those kinds of reserves available for us to be able to make these grant matches and have the opportunity to go after the lottery. I think that we have a very good, strong ask. I want to thank staff for their hard work and Location Pacific for working with us. But I know this is something that we are really well aligned for. So thank you, Commissioners, for the support.
Thank you. Very good. Next item is item 11. This is from the Planning Department Matters. We have 4 items. We'll start with item 1, adoption of a written decision and findings of the decision made by the Board of Commissioners regarding the appeal of the Planning Commissioner's decision by Stephen R. Hill to the business of Project Excavation to deny his ability to store park heavy equipment at 123C State Road 240 East Hill.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, if I may, item 11
Appellant Stephen R. Hill to the business Protege Excavation, which reserves the Planning Commission's decision to deny Mr. Hill's ability to store park heavy equipment at Park or heavy equipment at 123C State Road 240.
Thank you, Mr.
All
Chairman.
items are open, Commissioners. Mr. Hill, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, on December 10th, 2018, during a public hearing, the item that you read into the record or to the representing the agendas 11, 1, and 2 basically came before a public hearing where Mr. Hill appealed the decision of the Planning Commission requesting to have the ability to reinstate the ability to store the equipment on his property in 123C State Road 240. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, you in your capacity as the Board of County Commissioners, upon hearing the appeal, reinstated Mr. Hill's ability to store his equipment at 123C State Road 240. You provided staff with findings of fact, and you also provided staff with proposed conditions that were given to us verbally. With the assistance of the county attorney, Mr. Otto, we have gone ahead and taken your verbal findings of facts and your verbal recommendations and put those down into paper. And what you have before you is basically the decision of commission that is before you that would reinstate the ability for Mr. Hill to park equipment at 123C State Road 240. And
Mr. Hill, can we, do you have that document so we can have it on the screen?
it should be included in the... So, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, again, with the assistance of the county attorney, we have gone ahead and structured the decision based on the hearing on February 10th. We have incorporated the findings that you discussed in the public hearing. We have also incorporated your recommended conditions. We stand for any questions that you may have on the contents of the decision.
Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, if I may, your role obviously is to accept the contents of the decision and to approve the contents of the decision, which would reinstate Mr. Hill's ability to store equipment.
We have the commission. And then just sort of look over these 9 items. Is that 9?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Commissioner.
I read through this, have no problem with it. It is Mr. Ian's and Mr. Hill's recommendation of what we decided, so I make a motion to adopt the written decision and findings made by the Board of County Commissioners and the appeal of the Planning Department's decision by Mr. Hill, Protege Excavation to store parking equipment, 123C State Road 240.
Commissioner, would you add to your motion that they be items 1 and 2 on planning department matters so we can get more from? They're both covered, I guess.
We have to accept we have to adopt the findings before we can grant the appeal, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So let's go ahead and move forward with that motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, Mr. McKinney, please call roll.
Commissioner Romero?
Yes.
Commissioner Blankenhorn? Commissioner Blankenhorn?
Yes.
Commissioner Fambro?
Yes.
Vice Chair O'Donnell?
She said yes.
She said yes.
Yes. Chairman Gagos?
Yes. All right. Thank you, Mr. Hill, for that. Now we would like to move forward with motion to approve the item 2, right?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, that's correct.
Yes, Commissioner Tanner.
Make a motion to grant the appeal of Mr. Stephen R. Hill, Protege Excavation with the above findings adoption.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion is seconded, we made it. Mr. Hill.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioner Fambro, friendly request to your friendly amendment request. If you could also incorporate the conditions that were identified as well as the findings.
I'll do my motion to include the decision and findings.
My friend, second, Mr. Chairman.
Any further discussion, Commissioners? Hearing none. Mr. Marquez, please call roll.
Commissioner Romero?
Yes.
Commissioner Blankenhorn?
Yes.
Commissioner Fambro?
Yes.
Vice Chair O'Donnell?
Yes.
Chairman Gagos?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Next is item 3, the adoption of written decision and findings of the decision made by the Board of County Commissioners regarding the appeal of the Family Dollar Store SUP-04-218 by the Ranchos Neighborhood Association. Is here.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Yes, I respectfully request that the Commissioners review the proposed written decision and findings of fact that were created in conjunction with the Taos County Attorney and our department. And again, this is related to the public hearing which was held on December 10, 2018 as a de novo hearing. And at this hearing, the Board of County Commissioners made the decision unanimously to overturn the decision of the Taos County Planning Commission to approve special use permit SUP-04-2018 based on traffic safety concerns at the intersection of New Mexico State Highway 518 and 68 that were stated by the appellant, Mr. David Maez, representing the Ranchos Neighborhood Association, and members of the public. So, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I stand for any questions, but I respectfully request that you, in two different motions, first to adopt the written decision and findings of fact, and then grant the appeal of the appellant, Ranchos Neighborhood Association, reversing the decision of the Taos County Planning Commission to approve Ranchos Family Dollar Store under SUP-04-2018. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I stand for any questions at this time. If you have any questions regarding the contents of this proposed decision.
Commissioners, I open it up. Questions for Mr. Pereira? Entertain a motion to adopt the adoption of the written decision and findings and decision made by the Board of Commissioners, Family Dollar Store SUP-04-218 by the Ranchos Neighborhood Association. Move for approval.
Second, with just a quick comment.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank you so much, Mr. Audio, for a very well-written decision and findings. Thank you very much.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Martinez, please take the roll.
Commissioner Romero?
Yes.
Commissioner Blankenhorn?
Yes.
Commissioner Fambro?
Yes.
Vice Chair O'Donnell?
Yes.
Chairman Gagos?
Yes. Okay, Commissioners, item 4 is the grant of the appeal of the appellant Ranchos Neighborhood Association which reverses the county's planning commission's decision to approve Family Dollar Store SUP-04-218. Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Pereira? Move for approval, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion and a second have been made. No discussion? Ms. Martinez, would you please roll call roll?
Commissioner Romero?
Yes.
Commissioner Blankenhorn?
Yes.
Commissioner Fambro?
Yes.
Vice Chair O'Donnell?
Yes.
Chairman Gagos?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Pereira.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Commissioners.
All right. Next item is item 12, contracts, agreements, MOUs, and bids. We have A.B. Correct?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Crandall.
The one that's in our packet was actually an error, and I believe Mr. Cordova has given us something regarding item B, section 10. There was an error in the one that was in our packet. We caught this, but it was after the meeting had been sent out, so he told me that he would just be giving a hard copy clarifying what was caught in the severance issue.
Okay.
But we didn't catch that until after we sent the meeting out.
Thank you, Commissioner Crandall. We'll go to item A, which is consideration decision regarding the approval amendment 1 to a contract with the county manager, Mr. Cordova. Mr. Cordova, can you please open to you start the discussion?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, the contract amendment before you is pretty much what we agreed upon in our last closed session. The change that Commissioner Fambro was referencing is specific to severance and making it absolutely clear that severance will not be paid out upon resignation. I do not expect to be paid if I resign from this job. The severance is simply if I am terminated without cause. So I just wanted to make that clear. Also, I just wanted to make sure I thank the commission and thank our taxpayers. I am very grateful for the opportunity to serve as your county manager. I'm very, very grateful for the compensation that I am earning every day, and I do also believe I earn every dime of it, and I thank you guys for considering that.
Mr. Chairman, just a little bit of feedback from our attorney, Randy. Any thoughts, recommendations?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, I reviewed and edited the language of this amendment, and I think it puts into place what the intent of the commission and Mr. Cordova was, and it also cleans up, there was an issue in 2016 with an action by the commission to give a small increase to Mr. Cordova, but it had never been added to the contract. So with this amendment, it incorporates that as well, and I think it puts you in the place that you all want to be.
And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll send a motion that we approve the amendment number 1 to the contract with our county manager, Leandro Cordova.
Second.
Clarification, Mr. Chairman. Yes, Commissioner, the one that he handed out, not the one that I...
Correct.
Same on the second.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion regarding Mr. Cordova's contract? I do have just a comment on Mr. Cordova. I know that we've had a conversation about the length of your potential employment here. I know that things can change on a dime based on health, family, whatever conditions. So I do hope that you continue to serve the board, the community, as well as you've been, and knowing that everybody's expendable, and I think that sometimes it's important that we do try to appreciate some of the work that you've done, and as well as anybody else on a day-to-day basis. So I just want to let you know that we hope to continue to work with you, and me as chair, that you have a little bit of patience with me. I have a short learning curve that we'll get after.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I am committed to you guys for another year. I am not my word. I do have a lot to continue to finish. I have not accomplished everything I set out to just a little over 3 years ago when you hired me to be your county manager. So it's, to me, a very strong feeling that I need to complete those, most specifically compensation for our employees. That has not been completed, and that is my overall goal for the next 3 months, to complete that task on behalf of the rest of the employees of Taos County that also deserve to be better compensated.
With motion and second, no further discussion. There is. Now's your time. Okay. Ms. Martinez, would you please call roll?
Commissioner Romero?
Yes.
Commissioner Blankenhorn?
Yes.
Commissioner Fambro?
Yes.
Vice Chair O'Donnell?
Yes.
Chairman Gagos?
Yes. Next item is item B. This is a discussion, consideration of decision regarding the giving signing authority to the county manager to sign the final contract for TCC 2018-81 to RBC Inc. for the Juan I. Ag Center interior work. Mr. Sanchez is not here, but we'll go ahead and have Mr. Cordova continue.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, yes, we're basically requesting for the county manager to have final authority. We have negotiated a contract price of $525,450 to provide work on the scope completion of existing 6,525 square foot unfinished pre-engineered metal building addition. Work includes but is not limited to metal stud partitions, gypsum wall board, paint, ceiling tiles, finish, flooring, plumbing fixtures, hollow metal doors and frames, exterior windows, electrical work, mechanical work, design and install automatic fire sprinkler system, fire alarm panel, and exterior concrete paving. Essentially, we will be completing the addition to the arena at the Ag Center for a concession stand, bathrooms, and some classrooms. It's a long overdue project. It's a project we've been hoping to complete for a long time, and our goal is to make sure this is completed by the next fair in August, so that those facilities can be utilized by those hardworking kids around the county that really put a lot of effort into raising those animals. I think that's the biggest event we have at the Ag Center, and it's always great to see the participation from everyone around the county. Stand for any questions.
Open to the commission. Motion to approve. Second. Motion second to be made. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Martinez, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Romero?
Yes.
Commissioner Blankenhorn?
Yes.
Commissioner Fabro?
Yes.
Vice Chair O'Donnell?
Yes.
Chairman Geiger?
Yes. Yes, Commissioner Fabro.
Thank you. This is awesome.
We're very excited. This is a huge endeavor, and I know it's longer than you had mentioned, so we're excited to get it done.
I think hopefully that being that building has been sitting there for that long, hopefully we don't have any major change orders to come about. So, next item is item 13. This is County Manager's reporting matters. Item A is an update to the County Commission on various items affecting taxpayers.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I don't have a lot for my report today. I do appreciate being given the opportunity to take some time off between Christmas and New Year's. I'm grateful for that. I will be honest, I was very excited to get back to work as well. I realized that I enjoy work very much so. I enjoy my family, but I definitely enjoy being back and working full-time again and getting things accomplished. So I do want to mention one thing based on issues that have arose through our audit. We can't get into many details until it's public, but we are asking the elected officials to consider signing a form when they do travel or to sign up for conferences. It's not a form asking for permission, it's essentially taking responsibility for the travel, and if for some reason we do not attend a conference, the money will be paid back. So I just wanted to put that out there for the board. All of our electeds as well will be asked to file or to fill out the form. Their signature would be more than enough. There may be a secondary signature by either the chairman or the manager, but I want to make it clear you're not asking permission, you're just taking the responsibility for the travel or training that you're signing up for. I also want to remind the board of our retreat this week. We will be meeting Thursday and Friday in this room. It'll be a very jam-packed 2 days. We should have that agenda out hopefully by the end of today or first thing tomorrow morning for you. You'll be hearing presentations from all of our elected officials as well as all of our department heads. And so it will be a full 2 days, but it won't be the end of it. We will need to come back together so that the board can get their input. But it will be 2 days of basically listening to a lot of the issues that I'm pretty well aware of, and I think you may have heard things, but I want you to hear it from the electeds and department heads directly. So I feel it'll be a very productive couple of days for us to understand what we're facing, what our shortfalls are, and how to try and attack those over the next year and 2 years and maybe into the next 3 years. So I stand for any questions if there are any.
Do I need to bring breakfast?
First day will be lunch on your own, and the second day I'll be providing you lunch. So if you want to bring breakfast, the first day will be the better day. I will accept your breakfast. I think you can all enjoy it.
That was Mark like me, he was to lunch with me.
Broke.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Commissioners. I appreciate everything.
All right. Next item is Commissioners' reports and matters. Item A is new business to be considered at future commission meetings. And item B is Commissioners' announcements. We'll start with item A. Commissioners, do you have any new business that you'd like to see considered for the next future meeting? Not at this time?
I believe
No, I'm
just
going to be.
we will have the jail inspection report on the 22nd.
Okay, here. I guess, Commissioners, I would hope that, I don't know what how it's worked with you, Mr. Chairman, former Chairman Fabro, but I asked that if we as a commission could do a presentation or have some kind of hard copy if we want something to be on the agenda for action on the meeting prior, only to maybe help with some of the
questions that you have in meetings, so that we're not making a decision that day, but we be able to have something in front of us 2 weeks prior or at least get notification. Commissioner Campbell.
Mr. Chairman, it's also spelled out in the Open Meetings Act resolution, the deadlines of which you must submit those to, or I recommend to you that you follow that deadline, because it tries to get deep each and every meeting.
Okay.
But if you just don't let it happen once, because
You just don't want.
and there's no way she can do that.
Okay, well, I think it's fair. I appreciate that, and I will take that.
I was raising my hand for everyone else.
Okay. Then we'll go to item B, Commissioner's announcements. Commissioner Campbell.
With the New Mexico counties, there are 2 pools, the multi-line, well, 3 pools. Multi-line and law enforcement are in 1 pool. Then we have work comp pool. The board of directors of each pool, which I sit on both of those, has moved to combine, because the law enforcement pool is so broke, it's not sustainable. And through the efforts of combining the pools and being able to leverage certain ways, it'll make that pool at least sustainable. The reinsurance for that is no longer obtainable. So at this next week's meeting, it'll come before the board. Commissioner Romero has already, I believe, had a presentation on it, and everything, but just letting you know that will be combined, if passed by Commissioner Romero and the board this next week, and would go into effect next January legislative conference. So it's a big change, and it's trying to keep the sustainability of the law enforcement fund pool. So you'll hear a lot about that next week if you do attend the conference. And it's going to shorten the board from the 2 boards from 22 to 13. And so it's a pretty big change. You will hear a lot about it next week, but I just want to let you know exactly what was going on. If you have other questions next week, please feel free to contact me.
Any other announcements?
Yes.
Vice Chair?
If you will please indulge me, I'm going to pass out the handouts I received at the New Mexico Tax Research Institute conference, and I wanted to just briefly touch on some of the highlights. They pointed out that every drop in the price of oil, the state loses $17 million. They said that Eddy and Otero counties bring in more GRTs than Bernalillo and Albuquerque combined, and that's because of the boom in oil production. They are predicting a mild recession in 2020 relating to oil production. In 2018, New Mexico produced 300 million barrels of oil, 300 million. All of it is being exported. Next year, we will be second in the country in oil production. And regarding the reserves, they want 20% reserves. They did point out that Taos County has the highest GRT rate. And what I wanted to point your attention to is the page where it says vacancy rates in state government, which they're hoping to fill. So this is, going to eat up some of their budget, but you can see in correction officers, their vacancy rate in 2018 was 23%. Department of Health, their nurses, they had a almost 32% vacancy rate. The Miners Hospital nurses, 35. So what you see is social work is 11%, youth care specialists. So what you see is similar to kind of the thing we may face in different departments. They have a very high vacancy rate. Some of the things they want to do is possibly raise the income tax in the higher brackets. Mr. Copeland pointed out that the counties have more roads than NMDOT. We have 40,000 miles of roads combined, the state has 30,000. The talk by Patricia Lindstrom, who is the chair of the House Appropriations Committee, made a point to say that when you come before that committee, it's all about data, and they want data to support budget requests. So I thought that was an important thing to point out. So that was basically, it was a very great conference, and I hope you enjoy reading their handouts. What they're saying is a lot of these issues, if you look at the very last page, they have a number of litigation issues, and the first one could possibly take up $1.2 billion. The various other lawsuits, staffing for public defenders. But the point they were making is, even though there's such a surplus for capital outlay, they may do a lot of restructuring, also with education and their various requirements, that pool of money may actually begin to decrease as legislators work out agreements relating to the lawsuits, relating to PARA, relating to the main issues that they have right now. So I just kind of wanted to give you a heads up with what could actually come down. So thank you for letting me share that. It was a great conference.
Any other commissioner announcements? Hearing none, I will just do a little entertainment while the commissioners sign before we go into executive. I'm going to do a little dance. Talk about George Lopez, the wall. It was a good concert. It was a good concert.
Martinez, can I just meet?
Did you sign all the papers? You're free to go.
Thanks.
Action items are annually.
Yes. All right. Next item is item 15. This is the Taos County Board of Commissioners section that we may convene in closed session. We have one item, item A. Item A is a discussion and consideration regarding property located at 3840 Highway 522, Avito, New Mexico, 87530. This matter may be discussed in closed session under Open Meetings Act Exemption 10-15-1H8, which allows us for discussion of this purchase, acquisition, or disposal of real property or water rights by a public body. Commissioners, entertain a motion to go into executive session. So moved. Second. Motion and second have been made. Ms. Martinez, please call roll.
Commissioner Romero?
Yes.
Commissioner Blankenhorn?
Yes.
Commissioner Fennell?
Yes.
Vice Chair O'Donnell?
Yes.
Chairman Geis?
Yes. It is 11:11, probably 5 minutes. 5-10 minutes. So we'll be back here in 5-10 minutes. Thank you. We can meet in the hall. Make a motion to come out of executive session. So moved. Second. A second been made. It is 11:27. Ms. Martinez, please call roll.
Commissioner Romero?
Yes.
Commissioner Blankenhorn?
Yes.
Commissioner Fennell?
Yes.
Vice Chair O'Donnell?
Yes.
Chairman Geis?
Yes. Mr. Audio, would you please give a brief discussion of what was discussed in closed session?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, and members of the public, we went into closed session to discuss real property matters as allowed by the Open Meetings Act. Those were the only issues discussed, and no decisions were made.
Does anybody have any?
Motion to accept Mr. Audio's report.
I'll second. Motion second been made. Ms. Martinez, would you please call roll.
Commissioner Romero?
Yes.
Commissioner Blankenhorn?
Yes.
Commissioner Fennell?
Yes.
Vice Chair O'Donnell?
Yes.
Chairman Geis?
Yes. Next item is item 16. This is a decision regarding the property located at 3840 Highway 522 in El Rito, New Mexico, at zip code 87530. This matter may be discussed or have been discussed in closed session under the exemptions of Open Meetings Act 1015-1H8, which allows us to discussion of purchase of acquisition, disposal of property, and water rights. Commissioner Fabry.
Now, Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to authorize our manager to continue and complete the process of the property that was discussed, and the amounts that were discussed, and the terms that were discussed in the closed session.
I'll second. Second has been made. Ms. Martinez, please call roll.
Commissioner Romero?
Yes.
Commissioner Blakenhart?
Yes.
Commissioner Fambro?
Yes.
Vice Chair O'Donnell?
Yes.
Chairman Gagos?
Yes. Thank you, Commissioners, for today's meeting. Appreciate your support. And the next item is adjournment.
So moved.
Motion been made. Second. Seconded. All those in favor? Aye. All those against? Aye. Come on, Jim, come on.